Hello from sunny Victoria in Melbourne, and it is a really sunny day today. We had a 40 degrees this week, so the weather's fluctuating up and down. The news would tell us that it's catastrophic, but it's just normal summer weather we're getting. So it is well overdue to be doing some cleanup in my garden. And if you've seen my videos from this year, you will see that I have been very infrequent on YouTube, and there's been good reason for that. So where I'm at in the garden is I'm looking back over, this is my third summer, and I'm looking back over the 3 years I have been building a food forest. And like all gardeners, we make mistakes, we're learning, we're observing, we're working out what works and what doesn't work, and what are our biggest problems and our biggest assets. Now, this year I haven't had much time at all for my garden. I have been working pretty hard in the studio and outside the studio with my art, and I've been working at regaining space in my home after I closed my shop down a few years ago and had to declutter. So in that process though, it's been a great learning curve, and I have been able to rethink the garden through the processes of doing those other things. So I want to share with you today a quick video of a 40-minute makeover. Now, I have made some videos earlier in the piece where I spent, I think it was about an hour maximum, between 30 minutes and an hour a day in the garden to regain the space that weeds had been taken over. And it is amazing how much you can do in about 30 minutes in the garden. It's amazing how much progress you can make. And I've started to look at the garden very much the way you look at your home when you're trying to clean up your home and live a little bit more simply and easily. So that's what this video is about, and there'll be a few of them as I regain my garden for this next year and play catch up. But in saying that, I've got some lovely surprises in the garden that that have just looked after themselves, including a beautiful grapevine that has been grown from a cutting that I put in 18 months ago, and it's full of grapes. So plants are just amazing. They continue to amaze me, and I will continue to encourage others to grow food, try and be a little bit more self-sufficient, especially in Australia now. We need to put something in, just get anything in amongst your plants so you've got a bit more food and you're a bit less dependent on the supermarkets. Okay, let's go. I'm actually going to show you two makeovers that were approximately 40 minutes time-wise. So I came out here to the archway, and can you see at the back, it is totally taken over by noxious grasses. So I have the most invasive grasses you can have, and it beats me all the time. There's two issues I've found that I have in the garden. I don't have good enough irrigation, so my irrigation needs to be looked at. So you've just got to reduce the labour. Now I'm doing all of this myself pretty much. I get some help with my husband setting things up, but pretty much I've got to keep on top of this, and it's become too much for me. So I have to, just like when you declutter your home, you get rid of the stuff that's not serving you, or if you've got too much stuff, you can never keep on top of it, and you can never have that streamlined experience and that relaxed experience in your home. So I'm doing the same with the garden. So this coming year, I'm going to simplify until I get it to a point where I can look after it without help. So there's no help coming for me, so I have to do this. So this is what I did. I got down. This was mulched, but this grass just comes through anything you put down. I do not want to use chemicals. I have avoided it. It's hard work with these grasses because I've avoided it, but I got down on my hands and knees and pulled out what I could. There are still roots in that ground. There's not many, but there's enough for it to just take over like that in another month's time. So, but I got down my hands and knees, all my little chooks gathered around me and scratched in front of me and pecked around me. So I had a lovely time with my chickens and did half of that area. So I was surprised that in 40 minutes I could have that half area, and that's given me the encouragement to go, I just need to spend another 40 minutes and that's done, and I've got a planting area reclaimed. If I get enough plants in the ground growing quick enough, the grasses will have a harder time growing through as fast, and it's easy to keep on top of. So what you're seeing here is my back door, which we can't use. We actually can't get down the stairs. We've got a banana passion fruit that is in its second year, I think, and it gave us so many passion fruit, but it has completely taken over this back steps. Now it's an old step, an old rail, and the wood at the top's actually breaking down. It's got to be removed, but I've allowed this to grow because it creates a lot of shade, especially in summer, and it keeps that part of the house cool. But as you can see, it's pretty hard to get down those stairs without pushing vines out of the way, which isn't exactly safe. So I simply just got a pair of secateurs and started cutting the vine on that border where the railing was from the top downwards. So I'd cut it, and as it released further and further down, I cut it from the top to the bottom. And I wasn't worrying about, am I cutting a piece off that's going to die back, or am I cutting, too severely? The idea was to clear it, take the biggest mess away, and if parts of it died through the vine, I'll come back in about a week's time and pull that away. So it really only took me 40 minutes to clear all of this side away with a pair of secateurs. You could use bigger tools for it, but I just found it pretty therapeutic, to be honest, just to listen to my chickens out there and just snip away and think about things. So when it dropped down, I started to roll it like a tangled ball of wool. I just rolled it up, and it matted together, and I rolled it all the way down the stairs and cleared this area. So I will throw that to my chickens, and because they actually like the vine. And that's it, all cleared, and the big pile down the bottom. Now I do have to do the other side, because the other side is just as bad. We can't get through that little pathway. So that's the next step. But this is a chunk that I was able to bite off and just get out of the way. And it made such a difference at the back door. So you can see here, you can't get through there either. It's all tangled. It's grabbed hold of my asparagus, and so even getting through there, you can't just push it aside. So I didn't worry that it had flowers. As you can see here, it's still flowering, not profusely like it was, but it may have produced fruit. But you take it off now, and it'll be much happier in the future. And so I worked my way up the stairs, removing any tape that was initially holding the vine on. It can hold itself on there now, pretty much. And those bits of cord there, I can take them off. And it's a matter of going back and just cleaning up. Where possible, I tried to cut the vine back to right back close to a node, and cut it off clean in the hope it wouldn't continue to grow from there. I'm sure it'll just go berserk next time it has a growth spurt. It'll just go nuts again. But that has cleaned it up pretty well, and it'll keep it contained for a while. And I could have just cut it right back down low, even on the other side of the garden, and just pulled it all off. But I do like the shade. I enjoy the shade there at the back. It really does make a difference to the house. I will remove that white cord too. It was given to me, but it was a plastic cord that I noticed broke down pretty quickly. So I really don't want all that plastic, those microplastics everywhere. So I try and keep it to a minimum, and I need that gone. But I'll wait until the other side is cut back and then see if it's holding anything. I don't think it is, and then take it out. Okay, now there's something that I have learnt to change my thinking around with gardening, especially with an organic garden or the permaculture approach. The one thing that I've had to rethink is that not everything is weeds, and overgrowth or things that grow too much or get in the way, or if you overgrow areas, that can still be used, because all of that is either feed for the chickens or it can be turned into soil. So the more greenery you've got, the more you can feed your worms, the more you can mulch down and create compost. So you are actually building food for your plants, and you're putting it all back in and you're growing soil. So all of this will not go to waste. All of these leaves, hang on, where are we? All of these leaves here can be used for the compost. So, or for filling beds, or for mulching even. All those dried leaves can be put on one of my beds that desperately needs a bit of mulch over it. So everything that gets overgrown, like up here, is potential compost and potential soil. So it's a switch of thinking. It can look like a nightmare for a moment, but once you clean it up, you've got all of this material to use. So we took out our main composting bay a little while ago, and since have been chop and drop approach. So we'll either drop at the base of a tree or in an area where I'm weeding that I know that I'm going to build the garden up. So I'm letting things rot in place rather than turning over and moving from a compost bay to the garden area. I'm literally building little compost piles in the garden where it may be used. And then I'm not disrupting the microorganisms at all. It's staying right where it's going to end up, and the soil and the microorganisms in the soil and the worms and everything can make themselves at home and not to be disrupted later on. So as I wrap this up, I just want to say I do have some composting bins still. I don't find they work that well. I find I have to stay on top of it for them to work well. I have to keep the water up to them. I have to aerate them, which I'm not going to do. So I do have some sitting there, particularly for things that will blow away, some paper, and I'll periodically dump coffee grounds into them and bits and pieces into them. But what I will do with those is when I finish with them, they are also placed where I will be putting a garden or near a garden, and then I will just lift it off and that becomes a growing area. So it's still composting in place. Sorry about the slide down. I've come inside. There was a neighbour out and I was so self-conscious of filming in front of people. So back inside, I just want to say thanks for a great year. For those who have stuck around, even though I was infrequent on YouTube. Bless you all. I hope you have a great Christmas. I hope your garden is going well, or you're just getting some food in and something that that I have shared with you has helped you. Bless you. Please like and subscribe. You know the drill. I will catch you next time.